Hello and welcome back to the Mystic in Training podcast with me, your host, Melissa Amos. I wonder if you are here to be entertained. I wonder how many podcast episodes you have listened to today, this week, this month, this year. Because today I want to name something that has been building for me all year. In a world where we can have 30 spiritual truths downloaded into our minds before our morning walk, through reels, through TikToks, through clever memes, it's no wonder that we feel so confused. It's no wonder we feel so overwhelmed. And it's not that your soul is overwhelmed just because you are sensitive, but it's overwhelmed because we keep taking in more and more information. We keep on taking in more and more opinions and viewpoints, and we're taking in more than we can possibly live and we can possibly embody. Now, what I see all over my newsfeed is spiritual entertainment. And who doesn't like a little bit of spiritual Netflix? I am one to talk because I can spend hours listening to different opinions and reading books and going on courses. But there is a difference between being spiritually entertained and being spiritually transformed. Now, I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but really for me, it starts with awareness, because you can listen to this podcast and it can become one of those spiritually transforming moments. You could listen to the last 17 episodes all in one big binge, and I'm sure you will be thoroughly entertained. But it's taking the actions, it's allowing for the wisdom to integrate, it's doing an action that's going to actually make a difference. Because it doesn't matter how brilliant the podcast is, or how life-changing the book is, or how groundbreaking the activation is, if 2 days later nothing's changed, it's because you've heard what we've shared, but you haven't integrated it. You haven't done anything to live it. And sometimes this is a result of too much. We started to speak about that last week, reading all the books, starting and not stopping, and having all of these open tabs. And from an energetic perspective, what's actually happening is you're starting something, you're not embodying it, and it's keeping the field open. It's like another tab, another voice, another timeline. And half the things that you think are blocks, and half of the things that you think are, oh, I just can't do it, is because you've just got too much noise moving around in your head. And it's because we are sold this spiritual entertainment. It's because we're mistaking what we heard from what we find as truth. And really, it's about the time in between. Really, it's about being intentional with where you spend your time. Really, it's about taking this podcast, and when you hear something and listen to it, you write it down, you take an action. We know that law of attraction works, and we know that a change can happen in the moment, but a change doesn't happen just from a thought. And a change certainly doesn't happen from just listening to somebody else's thoughts. The change really comes when we take somebody else's thoughts and we make them our own. When we really begin to understand, well, what does this mean for me? How will this change how I show up? Having that honest self-inquiry of, well, where have I not been in alignment with this? What does this mean in real life for me? How do I make this my own? That truth isn't yours just because you heard it. It's yours when you live it. But all the while, when we're feeling frustrated, all the while when we feel like we're broken, all the while where we feel like, well, this isn't landed, or I heard this thing and why isn't it? I need more, I need more, I need more, I need more. We begin to take in even more perspectives. And then what happens is our field, our energetic body, is like living 10 different timelines at once. And our field, for want of a better term, our field begins to fragment. We begin to move in all of these different directions. And quite often our teachings will remember a little bit, about what we said. We'll be like, oh, what was that? What was that resonates? And how does that fit in with that other thing, which is now competing? And so now we have 6 different timelines, which are all taking us either on wildly different paths or even slightly different wonky ones. One's going uphill, one's going downhill, and you just don't know where you're headed. And it leads to what? It leads to self-doubt. It leads to asking the question, well, which one's right? Well, maybe they're all true. It leads to the question, well, what am I doing wrong? Well, maybe you're not doing anything wrong. You're just not doing anything. Even though you feel like you're spinning a million plates, you're actually not going anywhere. And I think that this is turning into a little bit of an issue, and it doesn't need to be that way. So let me interrupt this with this. There is nothing wrong with spiritual entertainment. I love a bit of spiritual entertainment. In spirituality and concepts and philosophies and channelings and psychology, these things fascinate me. If I could spend all day just reading and researching and wondering and contemplating all of those stuff, I would do that. I love it. And there's some incredible teachers which I really enjoy listening to. There's incredible programs I'm in that I really enjoy being a part of. There's some incredible podcasts that I listen to dutifully. And I love and I adore. And if you know me at all, you will know that I am one for investment. You will know that I am a geek. You will know that I love it. And so I do it, and I continue to invest in my money and my time and my energy. I continue to learn. I'm always looking at new concepts, and that's fine. And you know what? I don't need to take every single one of them on. Of course we don't. But the real work comes in the, what does it mean for me? The real work comes in the practice of how that truth now changes my life or doesn't. It comes in me taking 1 or 2 or 5 of these concepts and playing with them and getting curious about them, wondering where they do show up in my life, wondering how it feels in real life, doing the journaling or having the conversation, trying it on for size. That's where the real difference is made. And you know what? That bit isn't always so entertaining. Like that bit can be quite hard. That bit we are actually, if you listen to the podcasts on the law of 3, that bit is where all the resistance comes up. Because in that bit, our psychology is going, hey, miss, don't change things. What are you doing? It's very easy to hit play on a podcast and sit there and nod, or sit there and criticize and go, yes, no, this is right, this is wrong. But it's a whole nother thing when your actions start to change. Your nervous system's like, whoa there, miss, what are you doing? Your psychology is going, burp, burp, system alert, she's trying to make change. What if we die? The energetics are going, whoop, we're making a step forward. So the resistance needs to come, the equal and opposite reaction needs to come. And all of these are invitations into your growth. All of these are helping you strengthen. All of these are helping you rewire your energy, your neural pathways, the way that you are. And that is the hard bit. That's the bit that goes beyond listening to the podcast and having the conversation and reading the book and deciding how much of that I consume. This turns us from consumers into creators. And that ain't easy. And it's very interesting what happens. Because if we look at spiritual entertainment and listening to all of these concepts. If we look at this from an Akashic Records point of view, every time we're listening to it, another record is created. It might be a little wispy one, but another record is created with that truth in there. And it's like another tab has opened in your field. It's like I've gone, okay, there's this, okay, there's this, okay, there's this, okay, there's this. And now I've got, the 20 tabs open. If I try it for a moment, or if I kind of begin to contemplate it, or even worse, if I judge myself against the standards that I don't yet understand, how often have we done that? We've heard this amazing concept, gone, well, now why haven't I changed? Now I know better, I haven't done better. And so why haven't I changed? And now we're wrapping it up in fear and anger and guilt and frustration and worry and all of these things that really aren't conducive to our well-being. That we start to create all of these hundreds of different paths sitting in front of us, and we feel like we're scattered. We feel like we can't get anything done. We feel tired because our energy is moving off in 100 different directions. We say we're blocked because, oh, well, I can't finish anything. Oh, well, I can't get anything. Oh, well, I start, but I don't. And then we go around trying to fix it. And what do? We go and listen to more podcasts. Hello. We go and read more books. We go and take on more understandings. But what if we took all of those things, let them roll around, let them contemplate, understand that these are, at this point, these are just things that we've heard. At this point, as you're listening to it, this is just information. And we can kind of file them all away, put them all in a book under information. And then we begin to work with them. And then we begin to rattle them around and go, well, what does this mean about this? And what does that mean about that? And I wonder if I took a step forward and made a decision based on this thing I heard. Whether it's metaphorical or preferably literal, you're starting to create action. You're starting to create coherence. You're starting to create identity as, I am somebody that does this. I am somebody that's willing to try new things. I am somebody that is willing to interrupt my patterns. But it goes even further. When we really know ourselves, when we listen to a podcast or a story or a course or an activation or a meditation or whatever it is that we're doing, and we've already set our intention, we already know where it is that we want to go. We've already got this is what I am discovering this year, or this is what I'm working on, or this is what I want to achieve. And then we go ahead and listen. And then we go ahead and seek an understanding. Well, now suddenly it makes it all real. Now, suddenly, if you imagine this, I've got this path laid out for me. I've got this current of energy, which is going from me to some future goal, for example. And now, as I'm listening to this information, now as I'm reading the book, I'm beginning to, if you like, insert some of the wisdom, some of the codes into my path, into my story. And here it gets really clear of, yep, this one's aligned, and no, this one's not for me. We begin to make it really real rather than conceptual. We begin to understand, well, actually, how does this manifest in terms of the actions that I'm taking, in terms of the way that I'm feeling? And those other things that we hear, we can just file them away for a little while. Maybe we'll come back to it another time, but we close the loop on it. We don't have it still echoing in our chambers. It's there, it gets filed away as something that I've heard, but it doesn't become my truth. But this A, B, and C becomes what's important for me. This aligns with what it is that I'm doing. This is something that I'm going to try. This I'm going to insert at this point in my journey. This I'm going to get really clear on. And now all of that scattered energy is like a laser beam in one line. And in that point is when we stop becoming a spiritual seeker. At that point, we become the mystic. Because a mystic isn't seeking truth, a mystic's living from it. We stop being somebody who just needs to keep finding out more. We become that mystic in training, still curious, still wondering, still open, still inquiring, but with an embodiment, integrated. Because seekers go around trying to collect everything. When we're embodied, we become it. When we're a mystic, we start to see from the truth and we live from it. And we have this curiosity and we begin to discern very easily what's mine. Instead of continuing to look outside, we look in. And that doesn't mean we do it alone. It means that we can still gather it. We can still listen to the 100 podcasts and get all of the information and enjoy this diversity of information that's there without the accumulation of teachings, without the scattered energy, without the layers upon layers and reams of notes and books and confusion. We simply become. We simply are. And this is how we create. This is how we bring the path together. And so, dear listener, of course, I'm encouraging you to carry on listening, to go and get the information, to go and learn all of these different things, to open up your world, to listen to the different viewpoints, to inquire. But don't just leave it at that. Don't just be consumers. Because seeking is the beginning of the path. Seeking is where we start. But it's when we come into coherence and we start living in alignment with the insights that we have. We start living in alignment with the truth that we are cultivating, with the direction that we are heading, with the things that light us up and that are going to help us evolve and grow. The spiritual entertainment will expand you. The spiritual embodiment, well, that's what evolves you. And so I ask you today, what can you take from today's podcast? What can you take from everything? Unless I'm the first thing that you listened to when you woke up, which if I am, hello. But think about how many things have entered your field today. Which one are you going to take to embody today? Which one are you going to take to start to bring action? Which one of those is going to help you evolve? Which one of those can you find a way to bring onto your path, to help you with your life, to help you with the thing that you're going through? Which one? And then pick it and then do it. And then notice what happens and notice what changes. It's not that you always need more. What I see we're missing time and time again is coherence. And when you have that coherence, you're not chasing anymore. Your path is there and you find yourself walking upon it in the direction of your dreams. And you know what? That is the best spiritual entertainment of them all. And so we can't do this alone. We were never meant to do this alone. And I have created an experience called the Coherence Codes, which will really help you embody this work, which is designed to fit around your life so that you can take everything that you've learned this year and you can bring it back to you. You can bring it back into your field, into your energy, into your life, into your soul, so that you can live it and so that you can walk that path without the distraction, with full integration and with knowing what the next step is. No longer scattered, no longer disembodied, but here, present. If you'd like to join us, all of the details are in the show notes, or you can find it at melissa-amos.com/the-coherence-coats. I will see you there.